There are moments in a man's life that split time in two, before and after. The moment I saw Monica step out of Salon Cerise that Tuesday morning, smiling, untouched by a blow dryer or a curling iron, was mine. But let me rewind. You've got to understand who I am before the storm broke. I'm Nick Walters, 38, ex-military, now working IT security at a mid-size firm where the coffee is weak but the gossip is nuclear grade. I don't say much, but I see everything. Comes with the territory. Married 12 years to a woman who used to smile with her whole face. Back when life was spontaneous and our biggest worry was whether to adopt a dog or a cat. We got neither. Monica thought fur would clash with the furniture. Monica, 5'6", Pilates strong, always moisturized and 5 steps ahead in her social calendar. She had this laugh that used to make strangers smile. Somewhere along the line, that laugh got surgically replaced with a smirk that never quite reached her eyes. The signs didn't show up like sirens. They came in whispers. "I'm going to Salon Cerise now," she said one day, over her oat milk latte. "Which one?" I asked, flipping through the news. "The one by the intersection. It's new. Just opened." "Huh. That's the one your ex owns, isn't it?" She didn't blink. "It's convenient. He's barely even there." Convenient. That word rattled around in my brain like a loose screw for days. Now, I'm no fool. I didn't jump to conclusions. I just started watching. The receipts, the calendar changes, the Thursday morning glow that wasn't from any blowout. But she always came back looking unchanged. Hairpin the same, no scent of product. Just that smile. The kind you wear when someone says something filthy and flattering. Still, I played it cool. I didn't ask questions. I made notes. One evening, I paid for her next appointment at Salon Cerise. Asked them to add a comment to the system. Said it was for their records. They didn't argue. People rarely do when you show up in a pressed shirt, speak softly, and pay in cash. Then, the following Tuesday, I waited. I positioned myself in the parking lot in a dusty old rental, sipping gas station coffee like it was whiskey. At 9:43 a.m., Monica walked out. Hair, untouched. Makeup, fresh. Smile, glowing. Guilt? Nowhere in sight. I followed her home. Not because I needed to, I already knew. But because I wanted to see if she'd say anything. She didn't. She came in humming a song I used to play during road trips. Set down her keys. Checked her phone. Not a glance toward me. She thought she'd won. That evening, I got the notification. Her salon bill had been settled. With it, the comment I'd left. Closing the session. And the relationship. NW. She never mentioned it. But I saw her reaction when she checked her email the next morning. Her hand froze on her phone screen like it had just been iced over. She blinked 3 times, then smiled, small and fake. I said nothing. I was already 6 steps ahead. The thing about betrayal? It doesn't come crashing through the door. It slides in quietly, like smoke under a locked window. Monica didn't confront me about the message. Of course she didn't. That would have required honesty, and Monica only served that on special occasions, usually cold and overcooked. Instead, she went into performance mode. The next few days were a parade of normalcy, so exaggerated it felt like a sitcom pilot. "Morning, babe," she chirped the day after. "I made your favorite. Turkey bacon and avocado toast." I hadn't eaten avocado toast since 2017. I still had dental PTSD from the seeds. "Thanks," I said, chewing air. "You didn't have to." "Oh, I wanted to." She smiled like she'd discovered sincerity on Pinterest. "Thought we could spend more time together this week. Maybe go for a hike? Clear our heads." Our heads? Monica didn't do hikes. Monica did wine bars and group yoga with essential oils diffused into the sweat. That night, she wore perfume to bed. I hadn't smelled that scent in months. Light, floral, and now tainted. I lay there beside her, eyes open in the dark, wondering which lie she thought I was still buying. I didn't tell her I'd been tracking her location history, or that I had a quiet little friend in phone security who owed me a favor, one that unlocked her iCloud backups without ever setting off a notification. I didn't look for nudes. I wasn't trying to be a voyeur. I was looking for tone. Tone tells you everything. The way she typed, "You always knew how to make me feel safe" to him, like I had been the one driving her into danger. The way she used us, with him, and you and I with me, like we were coworkers on a group project she wanted to quit. One message stood out. "It's different with you. He doesn't get me anymore." Ah, yes. The timeless anthem of the guilty. He just doesn't get me. I got her plenty. Got that she'd started caring more about the man with scissors than the man with scars. But I wasn't mad. Not yet. That would have given her too much credit. Instead, I started building. Not a case. No, that's for lawyers. I was building a story. A truth so dense she couldn't wriggle her way through it. I visited the salon myself. Just once. Met her ex, the famous, it's barely professional guy. His name was Darren. Mid-40s, former model. Now balding under a comb-over he thought fooled everyone but mirrors. He didn't recognize me. That was fine. I watched him flirt with the receptionist while trimming an elderly woman's hair. He was one of those guys who thought being charming was the same thing as being good. I walked out, left a tip at the front, and smiled. The next morning, Monica was in the kitchen again, overcompensating like a guilty politician. I was thinking we should try couples therapy, she said, slicing a grapefruit with the precision of a surgeon trying not to hit bone. You know, just to reconnect. Sure, I said, sipping my coffee. I've already picked someone. She starts next week. Her eyebrows rose. You did? I figured I'd get ahead of it. Ahead? She didn't like that word. Not when it applied to me. She was used to being the one holding the map while I played tour guide in a life she'd already emotionally left. But this time, I was the one with the destination in mind. And Monica had no idea the detour was about to become permanent. Therapy was her idea, or at least, that's what she wanted to believe. Mine was already booked before she brought it up. That's the thing about being one step ahead. It's not about predicting her next move. It's about laying the track so she thinks she's the one driving the train. The therapist's name was Grace. Soft voice, kind eyes, the sort of woman Monica would try to impress and subtly undermine at the same time. She had degrees on the wall and steel in her posture. I liked her instantly. So, Grace began, legs crossed, clipboard untouched. Why are we here? Monica crossed her arms. We've been distant. I just feel like he doesn't open up anymore. Grace nodded. And when did that start? Maybe a year ago? He started working more. Less present. I think he's hiding something. The irony nearly made me laugh. I was hiding something. All right, a nuclear truth with a long fuse. Grace turned to me. Nick, I think she's right. I have been hiding something, I said, meeting Monica's eyes. Her smile twitched like a pulled thread. Oh, she said carefully. Yeah, I've been hiding how much I already know. Grace's head tilted. Know what? I know about the texts. The appointments at the salon that didn't involve hair. The days she came home glowing without a drop of dry shampoo out of place. Monica didn't blink. She didn't flinch. She just froze. Statues have moved more naturally. Grace, bless her, gave Monica space to speak. Monica cleared her throat. You've been tracking me? No, I said. I've been listening. Something you stopped doing a long time ago. The silence that followed? Dense. Weighty. Like someone had thrown wet cement into the middle of the room. Grace broke it gently. Is there someone else, Monica? Monica bit her lip, then exhaled. We were just talking. My ex and I, Darren. It wasn't physical. You left the salon smiling. I cut in. No one smiles like that from small talk. And if they do, they're not married. She turned defensive quick. I didn't do anything. You're overreacting. That's the second stage, I said flatly. Grace raised a brow. Second stage? First is denial. Second is minimizing. Third's usually gaslighting. I'll wait. Monica's lips pressed into a tight line. She turned to Grace. This isn't fair. He's turning everything on me. Grace said nothing. Her silence was louder than anything else in the room. That session ended in tight handshakes and cold glares. In the car, Monica finally snapped. So what's the plan, Nick? You want a divorce? I looked out the window, then back at her. I want clarity. And now I have it. She didn't speak again on the drive home. But she didn't need to. The damage was already done. And I just pulled the first thread of the unraveling. Back home, she went upstairs. I stayed downstairs and started phase 2. See, while Monica was busy rehearsing damage control, I was meeting with a lawyer, one who specialized in graceful exits with maximum precision. He told me something interesting. The key to divorce isn't anger. It's timing. You can lose your mind, or you can win your life back. Your call. I'd already made my call. That night, I changed the password to our shared cloud account. The digital trail, she didn't know I had just became my insurance policy. And hers? Well, hers was expiring faster than her excuses. Revenge doesn't wear a cape. It wears a cardigan, folds laundry quietly, and waits for the right moment to blink. After that therapy session, Monica went cold. Not cold like a winter breeze, cold like a freezer door left open long enough to ruin everything inside. She barely looked at me. She stopped checking in. No more avocado toast. No fake small talk. Just long silences, thin smiles, and the hum of resentment like a housefly trapped behind a lampshade. She thought she was punishing me, but I was thriving. Because here's what she didn't know. I'd already begun the extraction. One drawer at a time. You learn a lot about a person by how they react to silence. Monica had built her identity on being noticed, at the salon, at the gym, in our own home. She thrived on attention like a plant under heat lamps. I started watering her with absence instead. I pulled out of her spotlight completely. Stopped reacting. No arguments. No pointed questions. Just passive acknowledgement, like she was a background actor in my own movie. And it drove her insane. "Why aren't you saying anything?" she asked one night, crossing her arms like a frustrated stage director. I looked up from my book. "About what?" "You know what." I shrugged. "I'm not the one sneaking around." I said what I needed to say. "You want to be with him? Be with him. I'm not in the business of begging." Her mouth opened, then shut. She hated that more than any screaming match. She wanted a fight. Something to point at later and say, "See? He's unstable." Instead, she got peace. And it killed her. Let me tell you about the folder. It sat on my work laptop, buried in a subfolder labeled Tax Forms 2022. Password protected, naturally. Inside, screenshots of every message between her and Darren I could retrieve. Timestamped screenshots of her salon visits. 2 voice recordings from the house. One where she told her friend over speakerphone, "He'll never leave. He's too passive." One photo of her leaving the salon with Darren at 9:14 a.m., hair unstyled, hand brushing against his arm. I didn't take it. A private investigator did. Cost me $1,800. Best money I've ever spent. This wasn't a case of he said, she said. I was building a resume of betrayal. And then I found the credit card charge. It wasn't even hidden. Monica was never careful with money. I was sorting through our joint expenses when I noticed a $237 charge from a spa in a city 3 hours away. I called. Friendly woman answered. "Yeah, that was for a couple's massage," she said cheerfully. April 9th. "Do you want a copy of the receipt?" I did. It included both names. Hers and his. The kicker? That was the weekend she told me she was visiting her sister to help with taxes. I even packed her overnight bag while she laughed on the phone with Darren in the next room. Funny, right? I printed the receipt and added it to the folder. Page 34. She still didn't know. I started packing subtly. A book here. A jacket there. My favorite tools from the garage. I moved the important files to a secure drive, removed my name from a few streaming accounts, and scheduled a meeting with a real estate agent. Just a consultation, in case we needed to sell fast. At this point, you might ask, why not confront her again? Why not end it now? Because she needed to believe she was in control. Monica had to walk right into the trap, thinking the ground was solid. And then I got lucky. One evening, she announced she was going back to the salon for a color refresh. I nodded. "Tell Darren I said hi." She stopped mid-stride. "What?" I smiled. "Your stylist. I assume he's still the one handling your maintenance." She stared at me, stunned. "You're unbelievable. And yet, still believable enough for you to lie to." She stormed out, which is exactly what I wanted. Because I followed. I parked across the street in a borrowed car and waited. Didn't have to wait long. 23 minutes after she walked in, she walked out. No fresh highlights. No styled curls. Just Monica, flushed, smiling like she'd won a raffle, and Darren, walking her to her car like he was sealing a deal. I waited till she drove off. Then I walked in. "Can I help you?" the receptionist asked. I smiled. "Just wanted to cover my wife's last visit." "Oh," she blinked. "Sure. Name?" I told her. She looked it up, printed the bill. I paid in cash. "And if you don't mind," I added, "can you add a note to the account?" "Of course," she said, pen poised. "Just right. Closing the session. And the relationship. Sign it, NW." She blinked, glanced up. "Oh, yeah," I said, slipping the receipt into my wallet. Exactly that. Monica came home that afternoon like a cat who just figured out how to open the treat jar. "Hey," she called, kicking off her heels by the door. "Salon was packed today?" "Took forever." I didn't respond. I was in the living room, cross-legged on the floor, sorting a box of old cables and chargers. The kind of thing you do when you're preparing to vanish, while still pretending you live here. She stood in the doorway, her smile faltering slightly. "You okay?" she asked. "Great," I said without looking up. "Got a lot done today." "Cool," she said slowly. "I might go lie down. Might want to check your inbox first," I said. That stopped her. "Why?" I looked up then. Just briefly. "Your appointment was paid for." She blinked. "What?" "Salon Cerise. I paid your tab. Left a note." She stared at me, trying to decode the tone in my voice. But there wasn't one. Just calm. Too calm for her liking. "What kind of note?" she asked. I shrugged. "You'll see." She stood there a moment longer, then turned and walked off, muttering something about needing a nap. But I knew her too well. She wasn't going to nap. She was going to read that message, the one printed on her salon profile like a receipt from a life she was trying to cheat on. Closing the session. And the relationship. NW. I half expected shouting. Or maybe the performative crying she used when she wanted to flip the narrative. But she didn't come back down. Not that night. The next morning? Different story. I was packing my lunch, quietly, methodically, when she descended the stairs in gym leggings and a too-tight top, pretending nothing had changed. But her eyes were wide with panic. Masked well, but not well enough. She sat at the counter. "So that note." I kept making my sandwich. She cleared her throat. "Are you seriously doing this?" "Over nothing." There it was. The denial-discredit combo, classic Monica. "No," I said. "Not over nothing. Over everything." She huffed. "I didn't cheat." "You're right," I said, setting the knife down. "You just emotionally bankrupted the marriage, kept secrets, snuck around, and used me as your financial and emotional scaffolding while you played pretend in someone else's barber chair." Her jaw twitched. That's dramatic. Coming from the woman who texted, "I'm finally alive when I'm with you," to her ex-stylist while married? I smiled. Sure. That landed. She stood, pacing now. "I didn't mean for things to get like that. Darren and I just talked. We reconnected. It got complicated." "No, Monica. Plumbing is complicated. This. This is just cowardice with conditioner." She paused. Her face twisted into something familiar. Manipulation wearing its favorite outfit. "You know what? Maybe if you'd actually made me feel seen the past year, I wouldn't have had to go anywhere else." There it was. The oldest card in the betrayal playbook. Blame the man who didn't see the iceberg, not the woman steering the Titanic. I stared at her. "You wanted out. You just didn't want the consequences that come with telling the truth." Silence. Then she tried a different tone. Quieter. Softer. "Nick, come on. Are you really going to throw away 12 years?" "No," I said. "You already did. I'm just cleaning up the mess." And just like that, her last line of defense crumbled. She turned venomous. "You'll regret this." "Maybe," I said, tossing the sandwich into a lunch bag. "But I'll regret it from a house where no one lies to me. So that's a step up." I filed for divorce the next morning. My lawyer was a woman named Carla, a no-nonsense, sharp-eyed type who'd seen enough betrayal to know how to weaponize calm. When I handed her the folder, she smiled like a chess player spotting checkmate 6 moves in. "This is very thorough," she said. "I aim to inform," I replied. We went over everything: assets, accounts, timelines. Monica was going to be blindsided because she assumed I'd drag my feet, cry, or crumble. She didn't know I was already 10 miles down the exit ramp, windows down, music playing. Carla leaned back in her chair. "You want the house?" "No," I said. "Let her have the echo. Any assets you want to fight for?" "Only the dog. And my integrity. The rest? Let her decorate her guilt with it." We filed within the week. She was served at work. I asked Carla to time it during her lunch break. Peak attention, max visibility. She worked in PR. Reputation mattered more than morality there. Monica texted me 4 hours later. "Seriously? You served me at work?" I didn't answer. She called next. I declined. Then came the third message. "You're not who I thought you were." I smiled at that. Because I wasn't. I was better. A week later, she asked to talk. I agreed. Not for her. For closure. We met at a neutral cafe. Public enough to keep things civil, quiet enough to finish the chapter. She looked tired. Not makeup tired. Soul tired. Like reality finally punched through the hairspray. "I thought we were solid," she said, sipping tea she wouldn't drink. "We were," I replied. "Until you started drilling holes in the hull." She exhaled hard. I didn't think you'd actually go through with it. Exactly, I said. That's the problem. She reached for my hand. I didn't offer it. Nick, if there's anything left. There is, I cut her off. But not for you. I stood, leaving a 20 on the table. As I walked away, I turned just once. Take care of yourself, Monica. You're going to need it. And I meant it. Because the haircut was hers. But the clean cut? That was mine. A funny thing happens when you remove yourself from chaos. The noise doesn't stop, it just gets easier to hear how off-key it always was. The house felt different after the papers were served. Colder, somehow. Not because she left. Monica hadn't packed a single box. But because the mask had. And under that perfect foundation and curated smiles. Just hollow entitlement. She started trying to win the narrative, first with pity. I can't believe you're doing this, she said one night, curled up on the far end of the couch, as if proximity was still a currency. You're not even giving us a real chance. I glanced up from the book I wasn't reading. Define real. You think I'm the only one at fault. I set the book down. No, I stayed too long. Silence. She hated that. Hated being on the wrong side of the story. That's when the second phase started, reputation rehab. Suddenly, she was reconnecting with old friends. Posting soft-lit selfies with captions like, healing is messy, but I'm learning to smile again. Always vague. Always framed so she looked like the wounded hero in a breakup montage. What she didn't know? I was several steps ahead there, too. See, long before I filed, I started gathering conversations. Not just the Darren texts or receipts. No, I pulled together a curated portfolio of Monica in her own words. Things she'd said to mutual friends. Messages where she joked about married life being a prison. Screenshots of her telling a colleague. Honestly, I married down, but it pays the bills. These weren't secrets. They were things she said when she thought I was too boring to notice. Too loyal to ever push back. So I let them circulate. Quietly. I never commented. Never corrected her publicly. I just let the people who needed to see the truth see it. Because the trick to revenge isn't fire. It's exposure. Let someone build their house out of illusions, then simply remove the blinds. Then came the final act. See, for all her duplicity, Monica forgot the one rule every magician knows. The trick only works if your audience doesn't know where to look. She'd spent so long trying to control appearances, on social media, in public, even with her family, that she didn't notice what was happening behind her. Her ex, Darren, was already halfway checked out. Word on the street was, he had a new intern he was mentoring after hours. Classic Darren, no loyalty, just the pursuit of validation from whoever laughed at his bad jokes and let him touch their wrist for too long. Monica, for all her calculated disloyalty, hadn't planned for his. She found out on a Thursday. I only knew because she came home early, mascara smudged in silence following her like a thundercloud. She didn't speak, just walked upstairs and slammed a door. Later, I saw her laptop open on the kitchen table. Search tab still glowing. Emotional affairs when the affair betrays you. I poured myself a drink. Didn't say a word. A few days later, she asked to split things fairly. It was late. I was folding laundry that was mostly mine now. She'd stopped mixing our clothes weeks ago, like a preemptive separation of the lives she thought she'd control. Nick, she said cautiously, we should talk about the house. And the savings. Sure, I said. My lawyer will handle it. Her jaw clenched. Why are you being so transactional? I looked at her. Because love is gone. All that's left is math. And the math? Oh, I'd already done it. See, Monica didn't know that I'd paid off the mortgage with a personal account under my name before filing. Legally documented. Logged. Fair. But decisive. She thought the house was a 50-50. Turns out, it was more like 80/20ths. My 80. I didn't want the house. I just didn't want her to have it without cost. Same went for the car. The one she drove, but I bought. I sold it. Cashed it out. She woke up one morning to find a tow truck in the driveway. Her luxury crossover being winched onto a flatbed. Where is it going? Title's in my name. I said, sipping coffee. I needed the cash to cover legal fees. You understand. She sputtered. You can't do that. I can. And I did. I handed her the receipt. Maybe Darren can give you a ride. Oh, wait. She slapped the receipt out of my hand and stormed back inside. And me? I laughed. Not petty. Just released. The last time we saw each other as husband and wife was in mediation. Monica came in with a blazer, and an emotional support latte. I came in with documents and silence. The mediator glanced through the files. "Well," she said, trying to mask surprise. "Seems like everything's in order. Ms. Walters, do you have any objections to the division of assets?" Monica didn't answer at first. Then, slowly, "I just thought it wouldn't end like this." I leaned back. "That makes two of us." She didn't look at me. She looked past me, at the man who used to orbit her like she was the sun. That man was gone. In his place, just me. A man who once loved her, sure, but one who learned that silence and strategy were more effective than screams and sobbing. When I walked out of that room, the weight didn't lift. It evaporated. I'd given her every chance to do the right thing. She'd chosen the shortcut, and I'd simply let her follow it straight to a dead end. A month after the papers were finalized, Monica started texting again. Not about the divorce. About random stuff. A song we both liked. An article about emotional intelligence, the irony. Even a photo of our old dog, who had long since passed, with a "miss this guy" caption. I ignored all of it. People say time heals everything. I disagree. Time reveals. And what it revealed was this. She wasn't lonely because she missed me. She was lonely because her audience had left. Darren never stuck around. Turns out, a man who likes fixing women usually gets bored when the damage becomes paperwork. She had no fallback plan. No curated Instagram version of her new life. Just her, an empty house with bad energy, and silence that finally had no one to blame. I, on the other hand, was doing fine. No dramatic reinvention. I didn't suddenly grow a beard or backpack through Europe. I just returned to being myself, without editing. And that was more liberating than any revenge could have been. Word got around. Small towns have long memories and short attention spans, and Monica had banked on both working in her favor. But she underestimated the slow drip of truth. Friends she once gossiped with stopped inviting her. Coworkers treated her like a cracked glass, still useful, but you don't drink from it twice. Meanwhile, I got quiet nods. The kind of respect that doesn't come with clapping or fireworks. Just men who say, "Hey man, heard about everything." That couldn't have been easy. And women? Well, let's just say they noticed. Not because I was available, but because I wasn't broken. Apparently, dignity is magnetic. Who knew? 6 months later, Monica sent one final message. It read, "I know I messed everything up. You didn't deserve how I handled things. I just wanted you to know that. And I'm sorry. For all of it. No blame. No guilt tripping. Just an overdue admission with a period, not a question mark." I didn't respond. She didn't deserve more of my words. I had already spent years giving her the best of me, my loyalty, my silence, my stability. My absence was now the most honest thing I could give her. You think you'll feel something big at the end. Some cinematic moment of release. But the truth? Closure doesn't come with fireworks. It comes with quiet mornings. Clean coffee cups. No tension in the hallway. Laughing again at stupid sitcoms without that feeling of being observed like prey in your own home. The revenge wasn't loud. It wasn't flashy. It didn't involve destruction. It involved removing myself from her story so thoroughly that she could no longer rewrite it. She went looking for something more exciting. She found emptiness. I rebuilt, not out of spite, but out of clarity. Now, I don't walk with bitterness in my chest or a chip on my shoulder. I walk light, free, unapologetically forward.